Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Marshall Goble. I'm a national director with Five Links out here in Southern California. I'm going to share with you guys something very personal to myself and my wife. It's basically the last 4 years of our journey in Five Links. We shared this information with a few business partners, and we were overwhelmed by the effect that it had on themselves and their team. And my wife and I like to be servant leaders to everybody in the company, because we know how it feels to be in that situation where you just need that little bit of information that's going to get you through the day. So what we're going to do is we're going to share our journey with you over the last 4 years, but really the purpose of this is to kind of help you adjust your mindset to never quit. Most people that, whatever what you're about to see, most people have no clue that my wife and I have been through this in the last few years. And because we always show up with a smile, we always, try to instill happiness in people, and we just try to keep on plugging along. So what I'm going to share with you guys is, again, very personal to us, but it's really a journey, and it should explain why we think and act the way that you see my wife and I do. And if you never met us, then we look forward to meeting you soon. But this will make a lot of sense to people once they understand what we've been through, because a lot of people are shocked at how we run our business. Okay, so this is my family back in 2010. This is in Pensacola, Florida. The day after this, we transferred from Pensacola, Florida to San Diego. So if you don't know me and my wife, we are a military family. I'm in the Navy. I work in the special operations community of the military. And, we're just a simple Navy family in this picture. Okay. So when I got to San Diego, the command I was working at decided it would be a great idea to just send me on out. I don't even know if our household goods have been delivered at our home yet, but it only took 2 weeks and we were gone out the door, and that's just the price you pay. And this is actually a picture in Hawaii at the Navy Exchange in Hawaii. The date was July 8th, and this is the biggest thing that happened to me in my life, because I had flown from San Diego to Hawaii. It was a 5-hour flight, and we went over to the exchange to buy some stuff, and I turned my cell phone off of airplane mode, and I just had all these text messages and all these voicemails and call me now, call me now. My wife was blowing me up, dude, and I didn't know what was going on, and I was kind of nervous, like, called her, what's going on? And she told me something that changed my life forever. And it was weird because most people that hear about this are like, there's no way, but it's the best thing that's happened to us, because that's why we're here where we're at. So, what she told us is our daughter was pregnant. Our teenage daughter had been pregnant, and my wife was more scared that it was going to burden me financially, because, we're not very wealthy in the military. And she said, hey, listen, our daughter's pregnant. It is what it is, but I think I found a way to help out. And, me being in the situation I was at, I had to keep it moving, keep it going. But it was a scary situation, because this was normally what I was used to doing, is packing all my gear out, getting ready to go. And, this was normal for us. The driveway was full of my gear, and it was just, I didn't have time to worry about other things like that. And it seemed like when my wife needed me the most, I wasn't there. But I always remember she said she thought she found a way. So, again, I left, for quite a long time on that trip, and I came back. And here's the other thing is, most people say, well, you're in special operations, isn't it a cool, it's cool that everybody wants to do it. I said, look here, it's pain and pleasure, because the thing that hurts me the most is I watch my kids grow up on the computer. This is the closest thing that my girls got. These are two of my daughters. We have five. This is the closest thing that they got to giving daddy a hug, was hugging the computer screen. Think about how crappy that is. I'm raising my kids via computer. So what I tell people is always when they look at Five Links, say, hey, man, look, think about what hurts you the most, man. Think about what hurts you the most, and let us know if we can help you fix it, because what hurts me the most is raising my kids via Skype or, Messenger or something like that. Now, there is fun and pleasure in what I do with the military. I don't think nobody can really disagree that it's cool to jump out of planes and dive and shoot and blow stuff up. That's great. But really, at the end of the day, you're still going to retire, and you're going to leave that life behind, and who you're going to go back to, your family. So, this is just, like I said, this little overview, this presentation I'm showing you is my life in pictures. I mean, really, this is what it is. This is my life in pictures. This is what I live. So that's what hurts me the most is looking at that picture, man. It gives me goosebumps because I remember having to fake the smile that you see me giving in that picture because it was killing me knowing that my kids wanted to give daddy a hug and they had to hug a freaking Apple computer. But you can never take this away. It's when you come home, that's the best feeling in the world when you come home. So I live for moments like this because they were so frequent. Leaving sucked bad, but coming home was always the best. So again, 5 links ain't yet in the picture, still not yet in the picture. So when I got home, that was actually that video you saw. I got home, I'd been gone for a few months and there was only one thing on my mind. My wife's a hottie and, I've been gone away from anybody and, I had something on my mind. And my wife had other things on her mind because she told me, she said, you remember I told you I think I found a way. And I was like, yep. So we went to a 5links Super Saturday business presentation. And I walked into Carlsbad Theater out here in Carlsbad, California. And it was this exact theater, but there was probably 300 Filipinos in the room. And I was the only white guy. And I was looking around like, what is going on? I felt like most of our prospects feel coming into these things. And I was like, oh, my God. And, I told my wife, I said, listen here. Before we do anything, there's 4 criteria that these people are going to have to meet. Number 1, is it legal? Prove it. Number 2, can we do it with our current lifestyle? Prove it. Number 3, is it beneficial to us financially? Because if it's not, I'm not going to waste my time, and prove it. And 4th and most importantly was, who in the world is going to teach me how to do this 5links thing? Because there's only a few things that I know how to do, and none of them involve business. And that's when we met our mentors, Ramel and Lucille Hernandez. So we got started in 5links, and at the time, this is what it cost to get started in 5links. I think I even went negative on my credit card to get started because it was just stupid to ask people in the military, do you have $500? Nobody's got $500 in their bank account in the military. But again, that's just something else that we had to fix. So we got started. We got in. We needed to know what to do. I think about 2 weeks later, our upline quit. We didn't know what the heck was going on. And my wife and I literally did every single thing wrong that you could possibly do. I mean, imagine a new representative in your organization, going out and blast emailing everybody or text messaging everybody on their phones or posting stuff on Facebook. I mean, we did every stupid move that you could do. And it took me about 3 weeks to burn a list of about 600 people, warm market people. I have a huge family back on the East Coast. And not one of them except my mother supports this business thing. And it's sad to say, but these are people that told me that I could be an astronaut and jump on the moon, but not one of them gave me the time of day to really show them this business. And a lot of that is my fault. And I never passed the opportunity up to apologize for screwing it up for so many people because I was unprofessional. But the fact of it was, it took me about 3 weeks to burn through my warm market list. And then my wife went to our first Super Saturday, which is you see on the screen here. These were senior vice presidents, Alan and EJ, these guys are now obviously platinum SVPs. But my wife and I, we didn't have any business. We didn't have any friends because we had just moved to San Diego. I knew nobody. I didn't even know my coworkers. We didn't know our neighbors. We didn't have any family. So it was kind of a crappy situation. But what we did have was access to these events. So my wife and I just went showing up to these events. And then we showed up when Ramel and Lucille got their car because I wanted to see if it was true. Did they really give away the BMW? And absolutely they do. I've seen it multiple times. So we didn't have any production going on, but we always went to the events. We always went to the events when we had a chance. If there was an event that we qualified to be at, we were there. And then we went to our first national convention, which was in Las Vegas. My wife and I had a great time. This was when there was no Platinum Achievers at the time. This was still WGI. We were part of WGI back then. And then Ramel and Lucille, our mentors, made a huge mistake. They set us at the front row. They set us in the front row at the event. We got some kind of VIP handband. And we sat up front. We were sitting beside all these platinums and double platinums. And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes somebody made, was sitting me up front, because I just had that. I had to have it. I needed that in my life. I wanted to feel important. I wanted to be the guy that wasn't worried about when he was going to die next or deployed next. I wanted to be the guy that walked in the room when people wanted to take pictures. So we just started hanging out with Ramel and all the guys on the team. And then Senior Vice President Alan Tohonen yelled at me because I wasn't dressed up enough. They forced me to go out. I think I went to Banana Republic in Las Vegas, opened a credit card, bought some clothes that looked nice and presentable, because he told me there's no way that he's going to allow me to be on his team not dressing professionally. So, again, you got to follow the dress code. Now, after the National, I left Vegas, went back to California, and the Navy had plans for me to keep it moving. So I had to go out and do some more stuff. And then, we're out there diving. It's, they're telling me just keep exposing your business. I'm like, man, this is hard to expose my business because I'm underwater. How do we do this stuff? And, then 5 Links Energy came out. And so I always try to stay tapped into the business however I could. And most of the time it was just by taking pictures with the magazines because, my wife's back home with the 4 babies and, our granddaughter, and I'm out deployed. And it's just like, it seemed like every chance we had to move our momentum and keep it going, I was leaving or something else was happening. And that's kind of the purpose of this training, is to show you what people go through to just reach their goals in life. You're going to see a lot of things that we had to overcome. So I was out there doing our thing, making fun of 5 Links Energy with the 15,000-pound bomb. That was cool. Then I came home, and then we went to another national in Fort Lauderdale. This is where Alan got promoted to platinum. So we just started hanging out and partying more, and then after the national, I left again. And these are like the worst times ever. Again, remember, leaving all the time sucks. Your kids start to know about it. They start knowing when you're packing that what's about to happen. So I left again. I'm spending my daughter's birthday with her on Skype and this computer. It's actually weird. At the time of this recording, which is, October 12th, 2014, my daughter's birthday is October 11th, and she just turned 5 years old. And yesterday was the only time I've ever spent her birthday with her, because the last 4 years I've been deployed. So you'll see in this picture, I'm saying happy birthday to her. And in this picture, this was her third year birthday party. I'm saying happy birthday to her here because I missed out on that one. And like, how do you explain that to your family? A lot of people in 5 Links are immigrants, and I understand it. They chose to come to America to have a better life. So these are the people that understand how it feels to be involved with your family over a computer. But at the end of the day, it still sucks. Why continue doing it if someone's going to show you a different way? And then I came home. All the girls start knowing the 5 Links sign. And then EJ made a huge mistake. Platinum SVP EJ Pardo. I went to the boot camp that our team has, and he let me drive his Bentley. And then EJ asked me, what's the feeling of driving your future car? And this is one thing that really hit me, is I'm hanging out with people that are pushing me to a success level in my life that's going to put me in a Bentley. And that was a big reality check for me, because so many people in the military, they don't push you to do anything. I mean, the military's way of encouraging you is trying to beat you down and make you see how bad you want it. But EJ sincerely let me drive his car, and he said, hey, listen, I want you to drive this to see if this is something you and your wife would like, because you're going to get one eventually. And that was something that touched me, because he was sincere. And it was almost like, if you could imagine the little puppy that's been beat by its owner so many times, if someone tries to love on it, you just kind of awkward to receive it. I didn't know how to receive what EJ was giving me, but I didn't realize at the time it was just instilling into me the teamwork makes a dream work, and the mentorship within the team is really how you're going to reach your level of success. So we always stayed plugged in, even with the deployments, even with everything else going on. And our first 2.5 years of our business, our organization looked like this house. It was just not healthy. And then what happened was our mentors, Ramel and Lucille, for 2.5 years, we stayed plugged in. We stayed at the trainings. I hosted. I would do PBRs. I would do BOMs. We showed up. My wife and I used to ride the motorcycle to do, presentations, because we couldn't afford the gas in the car. I mean, out here in San Diego, it gets cold sometimes, so we would be freezing our heads off driving to do a PBR just to try, just keep the business moving. Well, one night, our mentors, Ramel and Lucille Hernandez, now top producing platinum senior vice presidents of Southern California, they had a PBR to do and they couldn't make it. And Ramel called me. He said, hey, listen, if you can make it to this event, we're going to work with you and try to help you build your team with these guys. And I ended up at this gentleman's house, and his name is Benjamin Abarca. Okay, and this picture was the night that he joined the business. The only reason that he joined this business was for tax purposes, tax leveraging. Him and his wife were both nurses, and they were really getting penalized at the end of the year with taxes. So this night I met Benj. This was a life-changing night for me, and I didn't even realize it. So we met Benj, and then the next night we met a guy named Ram and a guy named Pat. So 2 nights now, I've introduced Benj, Ram, and Pat to this business, and the whole time May's pregnant. Again, I said this is pictures of our journey. So my wife is 6 months pregnant at this time. She's an executive director. Benj is an executive trainer, and Ram and Pat are his 2 IMRs. Now, this is very important that you remember this, okay? So my mentors have led me to this organization because we didn't quit. We didn't give up. We didn't complain. We always had something positive to take to the event and take from the event. And we ended up with these 3 guys on our team, okay? And then I left again. I went to an advanced dive school with the Navy out in Panama City, so I was gone again. At the time, my wife was pregnant. So I had to come back. We were doing some training, and I had to come back because my wife was due to have her baby at the end of the year in December. So we ended up having the baby, and I want you to notice the people in this picture. There's only one person in this picture that is family, and that is the lady holding the baby. That's my wife's sister. Everybody else in the delivery room is either a senior vice president or a platinum senior vice president. And to us, this picture right here, all I have to do is show people this picture because it speaks volumes about how our team is. The night that my wife had our baby, our team was having their end of the year party, and everybody was dressed up in gowns and tuxedos. And instead of everybody going to the party to celebrate for the end of the year, they all came to the delivery room to be with my wife and I. And this was a matter of only 3 to 4 months of us knowing each other. Our whole delivery room was full, probably 30 people within our team and only one person from our family. And that is really the most important thing to us, is that our family is now part of the team. So you can see us having the baby there. It was an exciting event. And then my wife got the All-Star Award during a contraction. And then, after we had the baby and everybody kind of went home for the night, tragedy struck because my wife almost died after the baby. She was having some post-delivery bleeding, and the doctors didn't know if they could stop it. And I don't know if you realize this, but when you're pregnant, you have around in between 6 to 8 liters of blood in your body, and she had lost 6 liters of blood. So she was really on her deathbed, and here I was holding this little baby, and then the doctors are telling me, Sir, Mr. Goble, you need to give your wife a kiss because we don't know if we're going to be able to stop the bleeding, because to do the surgery, we got to cut her open and see what's going on. That's going to make her bleed more. So, if you can imagine, you're holding the baby that's 2 hours old. They're telling you your wife's about to die. You're thinking everybody's crying. My wife looks up to me and she says, "Babe, if anything happens to me, just make sure you hit platinum." And I was just like, God, you have to know my wife to understand the power of that message. But, she wasn't worried about anything because she knew that we were going to pursue this 5 links thing to the end. And I don't know, man, you have to ask her to explain that to you. But instead of telling me she loved me or, good luck, shit was, make sure you hit platinum. And I was like, yes, dear, you just stay alive and I'll take care of hitting platinum. But, it was another big, bomb that exploded on us with our business because we're trying to run to SVP, and now I'm worried about my wife not being alive. It kind of sucks to be in that situation. So I get out of that dive school, we get the baby raised and everything, and then I met a gentleman here called Mike Riley. It's the black guy with the bald head that I'm touching fingers with. He's a chief in the Navy. Now, I met Mike at a tire shop. We were getting tires put on our car, and he had a brand new Samsung Galaxy phone. And, being the great 5 links rep that I am, I asked him, I said, "Hey man, if I could have showed you how to save money on that phone, would you have been interested?" And he said, "Absolutely." And I said, "All right, great." And he says, "Why do you ask?" I said, "Well, me and my wife have this business and where we help people save money on their services, and I was just interested." And he's like, "Oh, you must be in 5 links." And it surprised me that he had heard about it. And I said, "Yeah, absolutely, I'm in 5 links." Well, Mike Riley was on the same ship as Senior Vice President Darian Smith, who was in 5 links, obviously. Now, Darian was in the Navy also, and he became a Senior Vice President and got out of the Navy. And Darian had given Mike some information about 5 links, and Mike really wasn't serious at the time. But because Darian Smith had piqued Mike's interest, the fact that, I was sitting there talking to this guy and, I showed him some way to take value out of the company, Mike decided to join my team. And Mike and I ran in May 2013. It was funny enough. Neither of us were deployed or training at that time. Him and I ran together for 1 month, and I had the best month I've ever had in my entire business. And this is what happens. In 1 month, my wife and I'm going to just round the numbers up. We made $23,000 in 1 month just from 5 links. Okay? Now, to put that in perspective, the admirals in the Navy, the highest paid person in the Navy, the guy at the top of the pyramid, you see it up there where the arrow is, if he does 40 years in the military, okay, that is 40 years of working his way up, deploying, training, dealing with drama, whatever it comes with the military lifestyle. He only makes $19,000, I'm going to round up and say $20,000 a month. So the guy in the Navy that does 40 years only makes $20,000 a month. It took me less than 2.5 years and 5 links to make $23,000 in 1 month. And that was with Mike Riley, because him and I just completely slayed it in 1 month. And that really altered our lifestyles just by that 1 month, because it's something we'd never experienced before. And then my wife and I were number one in the company. We got to walk the stage, man. That was an awesome feeling. Not only were we sitting up front, but we got to walk the stage in front of our team. We were the number one in a few positions. I remember the coolest thing about this month was, you could look at the production reports, and my wife and I were competing with Frank and Nicole Kimbrough. And one day we would be number one, the next day they would be number one. We would just switch swap number 1 and 2, and we ended up being the number one for the month. And how cool is it to tell people that, hey, listen, as humble as I can be and as respectful as I can be, we outperform a very successful top producing platinum senior vice presidents in these categories. And that was kind of cool. So, this was the same event in Anaheim, California, where Benj got promoted to senior vice president. So if you're watching the video, like I said, I'm a national director, and Benj is now a senior vice president. He hit senior vice president in 7 months. Now, after that event was my wife's birthday. I went to Louis Vuitton and bought her a Louis Vuitton purse. This is the proudest moment for me because, like I said, this overview is just pictures of my last 4 years. How on earth would I have ever been able to afford a Louis Vuitton purse for my wife? But, that 1 month that Mike Riley and I slayed it so hard, I was able to buy her that purse. And that was a proud thing for me because I was now able to spoil my wife, and I didn't have to take her to the base to do it. So this is part of my little story and pride factor, I guess. Now here's really the cool effect that 5 Links has had on my family. This mall is in Temecula, where we live, and my kids were like, hey, Dad, look at that Bentley. I'm trying to park the car, and they're like, Dad, look at that Bentley. And I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, you girls don't know what that is. And I looked over, and sure enough, there was a Bentley. So what you see in this picture is a 3 and a 4-year-old that knew what a Bentley was because birds of a feather flock together. My wife and I hang out with so many successful people that by default, our kids know what Bentleys are. Our kids know what homeschooling is. They know the luxuries in life. And it's funny because most of the other military kids that they know have no clue about this stuff. So it's kind of a pride thing again. So then our mentors started hitting the $1 Million Earner Club. And this was a very helpful tool to help close some of our prospects, because now the question is, hey, listen, have you ever been mentored by a millionaire? And most people are like, no, what do you mean? And then I show them this picture. I said, well, here, I hang out with these 2 guys that make this type of income, and the way that they do it is through the 5 Link system. So my mentors, obviously Alan and EJ, Ramel and Lucille, man, there's so many people that I look up to in business now. But they make it a lot easier to prospect because they have went out on faith and done it. And now that they've done it, I can follow the system. Because now I can tell people, hey, listen, Alan was a manager at a grocery store, and now he's a millionaire, and I'm following the same system that he did, and I'm right behind him. And EJ was a sushi chef, and that's the type of income he made, and he walked up to the stage and left with that check. How cool is that? So, I ask people, how long would it take you to make $89,000 doing what you do? In the military, that's 3 years. This guy did it. He walked up to the stage and left just because he was part of the platinum pool. That was in New Orleans. So then, this was a night Benj and Powell made SVP. Okay. Then Dana and Ron made SVP. And then Pat made SVP and fired his boss. And it's cool to see all these people get promoted to SVP. But in this, Facebook post, you can see that he just officially fired his boss, and we were one of the people that he thanked. And when you step back for a second and, maybe you lay down at night and let everything kind of process in your mind, my wife and I were part of this gentleman walking away from a career that I'm sure he did well over 10 years. And now he has time to be with his wife and kids. And, that's when the Bentleys and BMWs don't really mean so much. But you help this guy be a better husband and father. That's what means a lot to my wife and I. Okay? And then I had my chief in the Navy pass away with cancer. And, it was sad because at his funeral, his son was only 10 years old, and his son was, did a speech about his father. And all I could think about was, he didn't really have much to say because his dad was gone a lot. And, that's me. I always think about this. What would my family say about me if I were to die right now? And, unfortunately, my kids would say, well, my daddy was gone a lot. He tried to provide the best he could, but he was gone a lot. And, that's another reason I'm so aggressive with this business. So this was a life-altering moment. It puts you back in your seat because now, not only are you dealing with the sorrow of your buddy passing away, but you're also picking up the slack around what he had to do at work, and now you have to take over for it, which takes you away from your business. But then Maui hit SVP in 5 months. He was the fastest SVP on our team. And here he's standing with the senator of Illinois, who's an SVP. And that's just another credibility factor. And then Derek and Cynthia hit SVP. They were the first in the Indian community. That's the 5th SVP just underneath our team. And then George hit SVP. Their second Indian SVP, George and Janet. Now here's a cool picture. This is a street view of Google Maps of Benj, Ram, George, and Derek's street. That's one street. There's 4 SVPs. Actually, now there's 3 SVPs and 1 platinum, just on one street. Now that's pretty cool. And then PJ and Bell hit SVP. Eldon hit SVP. I literally have never met this guy. He's in Colorado, but I've never met him, and he's on our team. He's an SVP. And then my mentor said, listen, bro, you're going to have to get rid of some excess weight, man. You got to cut the ties with a lot of these negative relationships that are not helping you get promoted and move to a level of success. So I started deleting a lot of people out of my contact list, and I became a lot happier because I wasn't carrying a bunch of negative relationships around. So things are going well. My wife and I are hosting all these events where our teams are getting promoted to SVP, and they're getting their cars and Bentleys and BMWs, and we're hosting regionals and everything. And then guess what? Time to go again. This was the night, my last deployment, the night I left. I went down to give my daughter a kiss goodnight, and she was faking like she was asleep because she knew that I was leaving. It's not like I ever try to hide it, but this picture sucks. So I deployed again. This is how I spent the deployment, just upset and pissed because I had momentum going, and now I'm out here on the water, and my business is suffering because my wife's at home with the kids, and I'm not there to help share the weight, so she can't go out and do a lot of business. And we just have to be patient and be balanced. So, like I said, I'll always try to stay tapped in. So my ammo pouches, I have the 5-link symbol on them. And then I get creative and start doing a little bit of prospecting underwater. And this got me a lot of attention because I took the owners of the company scuba diving with me out in Guam. So I took the new magazine we were featured in, took them diving, and that got me a lot of credibility. But these are ways that I had to design myself to stay tapped into the business. So then I came home from that deployment. We start getting our business moving again. I ended up on the front page of 5 Links Facebook because I was hosting the regional event. So I went from being deployed, nobody knew who I was, to running an event with 500 people there. And then people on the team started leaving. They started going to other companies. They started, trying to convince you that what you were doing doesn't work. And if I'll read this. It says, this is the face that you make when you're on deployment for the 7th time in 4 years. And the people that used to be in your business keep inviting you to take a look at their new business, which, by the way, that's their 5th business since you've known them. And they're telling you they want you to come because it's got a better comp plan and the products are better. But at the end of the day, here's what my back office said. When I took this screenshot, I had a total of 24,176 customers and 3,898 business partners. There's absolutely no way I'm leaving anything behind when it comes to 5 Links. So the reality of what I'm telling you guys is this. I've been in 5 Links for 4 years. But due to deployments, I've really only been in 5 Links about 18 months, if you really do the math. And what I mean by that is the time that I've actually had available to conduct business on a consistent basis has really only been 18 months. So I go back to the screen of the pay chart for the military. I could do 40 years and retire as an admiral and make $19,000 a month, but in less than 4 years, I already have 28,000 customers paying me residual income and over 4,000 business partners that are constantly building. And that does not include the fact that 5 Links is about to go international and open in all kind of different countries. Okay, so things keep moving and then Binge hits platinum. Now I'm telling people, hey, listen, I have witnessed a guy join my team and in less than 2 years hit platinum senior vice president. Now that's a story to the team, not for me and my wife. You're not duplicating us. It's the system that we are teaching people to follow, and that I credit to all of my mentors. Okay, so this is Binge's Bentley. We just gave him the other week. The second one in our team. And then Lisa Cortez hits SVP. This is the 9th SVP on our team. Lisa and Joe, Carlo, out in Fontana, they hit SVP. And then my wife gets pictures with George Farah, And then this is a picture of just one of the parking lots at our event. Every one of these cars has a story to it. Because each one of these cars, my wife and I have been part of the journey of whoever's driving it. And that means a lot to us. Now, then Christine Beltrain hits SVP in New York. She's the first achiever SVP in New York, first Filipino in New York that's going to be a senior vice president. Now, all this stuff is just really kicking. We got 10 SVPs under our team and 1 platinum, all in less than 2 years, okay? So what I tell people is 5 Links is really a pedicure for most people. And I'm an analogy type of guy. This is the military thing I do, is I have to use analogies to get people to understand. So if you're looking at 5 Links and you're not really moving your business like you should, or you're deciding whether you're going to do this or not, here's the thing. Being in the military and being gone all the time, my feet were always messed up by wearing the boots. My feet were always dried and cracked, and they just actually painful, man, just from being in those boots that they give us. So my wife had always said, hey, go get a pedicure, go get a pedicure, go get a pedicure. It'll make you feel better. It'll be softer. You can walk. It won't look bad. It won't feel bad. So I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. That's what a lot of people say to this business. A lot of people know that all they got to do is go get a pedicure and that'll solve everything, but they still hesitate to do it until it hurts them bad enough. So what I did is I went and got a pedicure. This was me getting a pedicure, and this is what happened. These people ripped my feet apart. They tore me up, dude. I couldn't walk after this lady got a hold of my feet. I'll never forget her making fun of me, that little Vietnamese lady making fun of me because I was screaming. But what she didn't know was I had been cut so deep into my feet that you really couldn't fix it. And that's a lot of people with this business. They've been cut so deep that they couldn't fix it. But what I did is I pushed through the pain. I just went and got a pedicure. I screamed when they put that stuff on my feet and it started burning me. But I knew at the end of it, at least I would be a little bit more healthy than what I was coming in there. So what I ask people is, hey, look here. Are you the first penguin or not? Are you the first penguin for your family, for your team, for yourself, for your wife and kids? You got to be the first penguin with what we do here in this business. And what I mean by the first penguin is this little guy jumping off this ice, he knows that there's sharks and whales down there waiting for him. But he also knows that there is food. There's fish that he can bring back and feed his family. So he is willing to take that risk to go in there and battle it out and go try to feed his family at least. But also, once he jumps off, what else happens? Everybody else is going to follow him. So what I suggest that everybody does is just simply become the first penguin and believe a lot bigger, a lot faster that you can do this, okay? So again, don't focus on the cracks in your windshield. Look at how many different things my wife and I could have lost focus on. There were times where we didn't have enough money to go to PBRs that we had set up. There were times where we couldn't maybe make it to the national financially, but we just went ahead and did it anyway because we knew that the team needed us and we needed the team. So this picture says a lot. If you're focused on the cracks in your journey, you're never going to make it to where you're trying to go because you're going to end up crashing. You have to look through the cracks. You have to deal with the pain. Think about my feet in that picture from the pedicure. Or think about the night that they told me my wife was about to die, or all the deployments that we've been on, or think about your wife telling you, hey, listen, your teenage daughter's pregnant, we're going to have a grandbaby. Think about how many times we could have lost focus, but because of the team and everybody instilling into us that as long as you stay tapped into the team, we will not fail you. My wife and I just had to find a way to look through the cracks in our journey and just keep getting it there, because eventually we ended up in a place where we could afford to get another windshield and not have to worry about looking through the cracks, and things became a lot clearer. So what I want to do, again, one last time, is really thank you guys for sharing the last few minutes with us. That's our journey in the last 4 years. There's a lot that you don't see in there, but we don't want people thinking that, you're going to see the end result of us and we'll, forget where we came from. My wife and I always tell people, you never know what's going on in somebody's life. And for us, we look back and say, man, how do we overcome most of the stuff that we've been through? But it really is because a lot of people believed in us. But more importantly, we identified the things that hurt us most in our life, and we were just willing to fix them. So hopefully that helps you adjust your mindset and gives you a little bit of inspiration to just keep pushing when things suck. Because, if you're at the end of the rope, tie a knot in it and hang on, because that too shall pass. Have a good afternoon, day, or morning, and we'll see you guys at the top. My name is Marshall Goebel. I'm a decision collector for 5 Links, and I will see you on the beaches of the world. Bye for now.